Hey, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking to me. You've been patiently waiting, so I appreciate that. There's a banner here that says, can you justify not being vegan? You've come sit down with me, so presumably there's something that you have in your mind that maybe justifies not being vegan.
Yes. I've never had to think twice about like, what do I get to eat?
Yeah.
Like, just growing up in Middle Eastern culture in Syria, there's not an option where I can't go vegetarian. Like, a lot of if you've never seen, I'm not trying to assume you haven't, but the food dishes are all types of wonder.
Yeah.
And it's kind of almost like disrespectful if I haven't eaten like kind of meat and whatnot, and eating all types of sorts of food from all around the land, because the land is what gives us the food for us to survive, like bread, the cow. We use everything that is on the land because it's respectful to God for us giving us that opportunity.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things there. Firstly, it's like a culture thing.
Yes, and it definitely is a culture thing, but for its coming to America is definitely a shift. I'm just giving you my background on what like kind of my family brought me up to, and then now being here, because I'm an adult. I can make my decision even whether I want to be vegetarian, vegan, or be a meat person. Like, that is an option that I have. And that's why I sat here to learn.
Amazing. So because you have that option then, and you recognize that you have the choice to choose between eating meat, being vegan, how do you then morally justify taking the life of an animal when you recognize that it is a choice?
If you stepped on an ant, would you say that's morally justified?
If it's an accident. If I see ants now and I'm going like this, I would say that's morally wrong. But if I stand up and I accidentally step on an ant, I would say that, well, it's an accident, you can't be held morally responsible. When we consume animal products, though, we're deliberately doing it. It's like seeing an ant and stamping on them. So that's why it's morally wrong, because we don't have to, and we're deliberately doing something consciously.
Are you saying it's the way the animals are being killed that is like morally justified? What if like I could say, like, let's say in Judaism and Islam, that the way they kill animals, it's done in a very sacred way to keep the animals through the process, no pain, and for it to be kosher or halal, and in that process be okay for us to consume. If it weren't, then that wouldn't be okay. The same way, like I said, here manufacturing, the way they kill animals is a little different. So different. But saying if it's morally justified to eat, where does that come from? Like, who says it's not morally justified? For you saying to me I can't eat meat is morally justified, what makes it wrong?
Because animals are sentient, conscious, they have a capacity to experience life, and when we exploit them, we cause them suffering and harm, and then when we kill them, we take their life from them. Now, I would personally disagree with the halal and kosher mindset of it not causing suffering, but I'm also not too bothered about debating that, because to me, I'm less bothered about the way that it's done. Obviously, I don't want. Obviously, there's degrees, and you would say that some forms of slaughter are better than others, but none of them are objectively better or objectively good. So
native animals are treated by the government as an inconvenience, a pest, a crop destroyer, and a nuisance. Permits to kill them are being handed out by Dipipui, it seems, like lollies to kids at a party.
But my issue is that we're needlessly taking their life in any situation at all. And the thing is, we often throw around this word humane. We say, I often have conversations with people like yourself who very kindly sit down and they say, look, I think it's wrong when we just, cause suffering to animals, but when we kill them humanely, that makes it justified. And that seems to me to be sort of what you're alluding to. Yes. Okay. Now,
this year, one of the major changes that's there is revolved around the crop damage permits, which are available to landowners who have a demonstrated level of crop damage, Instead of just having 3 allowed shooters on a permit, you can now have up to 15 designated shooters.
Yeah, that's what I meant by that. Like, obviously, we've seen the industry of how animals are being killed. Yeah. It's terrible, and it's even terrible for our own health. To take it's not good, right? No. Like the fast food industry obviously is not doing something to help us, it's benefiting them. So I understand with your own point. I definitely see that. So I'm not disagreeing with that. I just can't see you kind of like the all the way part why I should give up eating meat, but I'm not opposed to it.
Okay, that's great. So that's the first thing, isn't it? So okay, let's take that word humane. Because that's the word that we kind of agree on. Now, the word humane, if we open up a thesaurus, right, and we find some synonyms for the word humane, so words that mean humane, what other words do we see that mean humane? Like if I called you a humane person, what would I be saying about your character? What type of person would you be?
Kind.
I mean, kind is exactly the words, right? So here's the question then. Is it kind, or let's use the word compassionate, because compassionate is another one. Okay. Is it kind or compassionate to take the life of an animal if we don't have to? Is that action kind or compassionate?
By that definition, no.
And if we recognize that the word humane, other words for that word are kind and compassionate, then if those 2 words don't apply to slaughter, then humane can't either. And
we don't discriminate. We kill them all. A big boar, a mama with a bunch of little footballs, they all catch a bullet.
If we recognize there's no such thing as humane slaughter, that inherently means that slaughter can't be kind, compassionate, and must therefore be cruel or unkind.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're on the basis of that is right.
Yeah. So with that being the case, that's why it's morally wrong, because eating meat takes someone else, someone whose feelings, consciousness, sentience, and it puts them through a process that's not only unnecessary, but it's also unethical, and that's why it's a moral issue, because it's someone else's body, it's someone else's life, and we're denying someone else their autonomy, so the right to their own body. Okay.
Kill it.
And that's why eating animal products is a moral issue, because it concerns the rights and well-being of someone else.
A Florida mother who says she fed her child a vegan diet has been found guilty of first-degree murder after her child died from starvation.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely it says, but kind of like it goes back to history. Well, we've been doing this for so long, and your questions that you're asking now have been asked probably all throughout history, or like have been in a way used. I mean, obviously we have been eating all like types of foods and whatnot, and for us to keep continuing eating these animals, with all our other types of foods we eat, why should we stop now? Which is the moral, but it is an option.
Yes.
What if my morals on that census are different than yours?
All right, New York City, here's the deal. The voluntary phase is over.
If I don't see taking the life in a humane way,
which we established doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist, but I see it as a way for me to survive, a cow, but I don't see slaughtering a pet or slaughtering something so mercilessly for no reason.
Yeah. But we started this conversation off by acknowledging that it's a choice.
Yes.
You can be. So because it's a choice,
yes,
that means it's not a necessity. So whilst I would agree that in a situation of necessity, you could justify that action, for you and I, in the absence of it being a necessity, it becomes no different than slaughtering a pet, a dog or a cat, because both actions are unnecessary and causing suffering and cruelty to an animal.
Some of the nutrients of concern in the vegan diet include vitamin B12, iron, calcium, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, including EPA and DHA, and protein.
So whilst I agree with you, the important point is that neither you nor I have to do it, which is why it becomes a moral concern as well.
Obviously, it's a choice, right? And I do see that point. I could make the choice of just being vegan, and I can make the choice of being vegetarian.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that would just be all up to me.
No, personal choices are only personal choices when there are no other victims involved. If there are victims involved, it is no longer a personal choice.
Yeah, I do see.
It is up to you, and you're right, and it is a choice. But here's the question, right? Everything that we do is a choice. Yes. So again, to bring these two dogs into the conversation, now I could personally choose right now to go and harm those two dogs, but that doesn't make doing so justified because I can personally choose to do it. So just like, you and I, for lunch, we could go into the canteen and we can choose meat, but we don't have to. But we can personally choose to choose another option as well. So that actually isn't morally justified just because we can choose to do it. When there's the alternative and there's the option to choose something else that ticks those boxes of being more moral, being more environmentally sustainable, we become compelled, morally speaking, to choose the option which reduces suffering and which reduces the damage that it causes. So you're right that it's a choice, but that doesn't in and of itself justify it, because there is an alternative for us to choose now. And that's, again, with the longevity question, that's why it's different now. Throughout history, many people didn't have a choice. Many people didn't have the option. But what's unique about our generation now is we are educated about these issues. We can find out, we can learn about the damage, the sustainability issues.
There are places that have already lost all of their topsoil.
What's happening to the soil and what's happening today is very scary.
The United Nations declared soil finite and predicted catastrophic loss within 60 years.
And we can learn about the cruelty. And we also have the knowledge to choose something else and how to be healthy on plants and how to do all these other things. We can do that for potentially the first time in history properly.
I agree with you. If I wanted to be vegan, I could. And like I said in the beginning, I didn't come out like not opposed.
No, you didn't.
And my biggest thing is just like maintaining like physical attributes, being health. I want to get my protein in. I want to be able to, like, if I can do what I can do with meat, and I can do it with just basic vegetables, and
well, not just vegetables, but plants. Definitely.
But plants, and just if I could do that, I mean, I'm not opposed to that, right? That doesn't, wouldn't be like, yes, no, I can't, right? This is like I said, I came in and this was like very like, no. Not something like, I can't do that. I can't not eat meat, right? That's not something I need. Thing is just, I've just read a lot, like I'm a computer science major. I read a lot about what's going on. I obviously know that the side effects coming from meat, red meat, all meat, I see more cons to it, and I see like GMOs, everything being altered. Gene affecting that they do with vegetables. I just, at this point, I don't know what like is right to eat that would keep me healthy. I want to stay alive. I want to stay healthy. I want to stay alive, and I want to stay full. And also, going back to that humane, you brought up a really good point that like you can't be kind and compassionate if I slaughter an animal, because I would never want that to happen to my pets. I would never want that to happen to myself, unless there's a reason why I need to do something that's a different conversation for that. But if I have to like slaughter something that is simply which I have a different belief on, but I wouldn't just want to take something like you said if I had the option not to.
Right. Which we kind of are establishing that you do. And when it comes to the protein, it comes to getting all those nutrients that you need.
That's like something I feel like I don't think we talk about as much. I think that's the biggest thing. Like being somebody who like I guess works out a lot, I would say, and has a very strict regime. I would say like those are like some of the biggest things that I look for as well. Of like why if I wanted to be vegan, why would I do that? So like I want to be able to still like get my protein in, still be fulfilled, like getting my muscle intake. I want to feel like like I'm not missing out or I'm not lacking in my health.
And that's incredibly important, right?
Yes.
The easiest thing for me to say very quickly is it's been proven by the American Dietetic Association, the British Dietetic Association, the NHS, Harvard, T.H. Chan School of Public Health.
Yeah.
All of these leading and respected health organizations are saying that a whole foods plant-based diet, so a healthy plant-based diet, right? These leading health organizations are all pointing to the fact that a whole foods plant-based diet can provide all the nutrients that we need to be healthy and reduce our risk of certain chronic diseases. So for you, it's just a matter of maybe joining the society here, or at least engaging in a conversation with them, going online and just looking for plant-based protein sources, plant-based iron sources, plant-based calcium sources, and getting a list of all these plant-based foods that provide you the nutrients that you need to be healthy, that we all need to be healthy, and just making sure that if you choose, which we feel morally compelled from this conversation, hopefully, if you choose to start choosing those plant-based options and become vegan, then you know exactly how you can be healthy in that transition as well, which is, of course, very important. Yes. Cool, man. It's a delight talking to you.
Yeah, it was a delight talking to you too.
Have a great day.
You too.
And enjoy your life. I'll probably
Thank
never
you so
see
much.
you again,
too.
but take it easy.
I'll come back around here sometime.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for your conversation.
You're welcome. Thanks for the polite debate. I appreciate it. Take care.
Veganism is not a healthy lifestyle. Did I mention crop deaths though?